I mean, pretty tough problem. I think what has happened with me in last 10 to 12 years of working consistently is I think talking to customer becomes one of the prime pieces whether people are liking your product or not, right? And I think consistently iterating what works, what doesn't work. Like you guys have said, right? I mean, having that authority also comes when you consistently keep talking to customer. I think almost every founder agrees that, hey, we have to talk to the customer. The only problem is that in practicality, can you really talk to customer, ignore the noise, really get the signals out of it, right? The moment your product market fit is kicking in, is that particular customer actually going out and talking to somebody else as well that, hey, I've implemented this, you should also end up implementing that product as well. We have seen a lot of successful products such as Notion, Mixpanel, and so on and so forth, right? A lot of their virality is not just coming in because they are aggressively marketing or advertising. It's actually other one customer talking to another customer saying that the product is actually worth it, right? In a lot of sense, let's say we take example of all these analytics tools, right, which are available out there in the market. What is also happening is it's actually reducing a lot of dependencies from the analytics team altogether. Product managers or marketers themselves can go and then explore the product, get the outcome that they actually want. Is your particular tool also doing that? If that starts happening, you at least have one closure of loop that, hey, I bought the product, I'm liking it, I'm recommending it to somebody else, and then that guy is also purchasing it. Your loop is basically now started. The only thing that you can add to make it significantly viral is then start adding more organic and at some point paid growth also. I mean, with organic growth, you obviously start making money. You can reinvest the whole piece again in paid growth, and then the loop starts continuing the whole flywheel theory that we all have heard about, right? I mean, that's what is largely working out. If your loops are not completed, if people are organically not recommending your tool to somebody else, maybe blogs can get you some leads, but it won't really complete the whole loop. Your loop will start breaking at one point in time, and you'll only reach till first mile subscription or maybe a second time renewal, but nothing beyond that. The continuity will never happen. So product market fit by talking to customer, by really driving value for them, is really essential to complete the whole viral loop. I think ads are more steroids. You still needs it. Like let's say if I am to do 0 to 1 again, I think the first PMF I'll start doing it from the sense that I'll reach out to 1,000, 10,000 people one on one, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe through network. Try to figure out the whole product market piece first before even jumping on the advertisement. Advertisement will only increase your reach. It won't really get you to a product market fit or get you to a position where the word of mouth will start happening. I would personally reach out to maybe 100,000, 10,000 people, start talking with them in terms of what do they need. Because let's say my landing page is very bad. I'm still advertising it. It's giving me actually a negative impression because once a user actually reads it that, hey, this product doesn't solve anything for me, my attention to the next time I'm seeing that ad is almost next to zero and I'll discard it very quickly. Versus if you're doing a one-on-one reach to all these people, trying to understand, showing them the landing page, showing them the advertisement that you're, or let's say the pitch that you have for them, and if people start converting on your organic outreaches, then ad starts making a lot of sense. Funding doesn't really solve for a PMF. Funding does solve for, let's say, maybe building a better product, maybe actually hiring teams, but not really for solving for the customer. I would say both the things are very independent. If your product is actually working out, you don't even need a funding round. You can directly start scaling it up because your revenue starts kicking in if people are liking your product or you're solving something more relevant to them. But both the things are not correlated. Funding doesn't solve for marketing at all. Matlab, definitely. I mean, I think a
Yes.
lot of them believes it also. It's just that there's a lot of pressure which says, hey, now that I have money in the bank account, I have to grow. You have to have pushbacks on your investor that maybe my product is not ready for a viral growth right now, right? I mean, you need a set of customers who are ready to sign a 3-year or a 5-year agreement with you. If people are ready to sign those long agreements, then the product start making sense that, hey, because somebody is committing for a 3-year or a 5-year period, there's a significant higher amount of chance that other people also need the product. But let's say people are saying, hey, I'll just do a 30-day POC, and you're in the loop where people are not ready to renew it anything beyond a month, then the PMF has not kicked in. 100% aligned. I think, let's say, if you're a founder in a small company, I mean, obviously revenue is your job, right? Product market fit is your job. Even community is your job, right? I would still suggest have 3-4 people who can consult you on all these kind of things. There are obviously cheerleaders for every founder who's out there. Maybe reach out to a lot of people who are running large businesses already and ask them if they can mentor you in your journey on 0 to 1 or 1 to 10. I think that would be an easier ask versus having a lot of experienced people coming on the front line in small startups. I think that's a difficult thing to do, but definitely a lot of people who are already out there doing large businesses, try to have them as an advisor on board. they can actually guide you with a lot of experience that they already have, and what is working out for them at scale is how I would generally think of approaching. Like even on the community piece, right? I mean, 6 months back, we were thinking about launching our own community, and the idea was very simple. Community is not going to make money for us, so we are going to start with a zero budget, right? What we ended up doing that a lot of you can also do is we basically reached out to all the users who were signing on the app that, hey, we are starting a financial community. Do you want to be part of this? In about 2 months, we had closer to about 8,000 people already there on the community channel. And I think this happens in SaaS as well. You get 90% of the leads as junk, but then the people are very real. They are from your industry that you're targeting. Maybe try onboarding them in your community, maybe on a WhatsApp channel, maybe on a WhatsApp community. Start posting in. So every founder has an insight. That is why they ended up starting the business, right? I mean, if you start posting those insights in those communities, people will actually start finding it more valuable. You'll start with maybe 10 people and then eventually outgrow the targets that you have. But once you're consistently posting those insights in those communities, the word of mouth will at least start getting happening. This guy is posting something which is relevant to a larger audience. Maybe that's a 0 to 1 approach you can end up picking up. I think there's no bottleneck for GTM strategy. I think you just have to go out there and then learn how to do GTM. I think, let's say, when you were talking about previously, I think it took you 2 months or 3 months to get to 42 blogs. I think 42 blogs can be done in next 1 hour, right? There are enough tools out there who can actually get you to the GTM strategy per se. But I think what is now a significantly limiting factor is that people are over relying on AI right now, which basically AI says, hey, these 10 things are good, just post these things. I think what we also need to understand is LLMs are trained on the data which is already available out there in the market, right? Which essentially says that if I've got like 40 blog posts in next 1 hour, there's a almost 90% chance that these 40 blogs are already published by somebody else. You need to start carving out what is more relevant to the audience that you're catering. What are they going to search? Is that significantly relative to your product, and is it gonna make the sale happen or not, right? I mean, if it's a very general content, everybody else is talking about it any which way. What is the insight that you have brought on the table? With AI, I think the larger piece which is unsolved right now is how to consistently remove the noise and get to the very good signals out there in the market. Or let's say the generative AI is suggesting you do those 10 things. I mean, what is that one relevant piece which is definitely gonna tick versus everything else that you've got out with, right? I think that's an act that we now need to have in terms of our GTM strategies as well. That's figuring out what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. But it has definitely significantly scaled up your go-to market very, very fast, right? If it's suggesting me 10 strategies to implement, now I can implement 10 strategies in next 10 hours. Just start removing the noise and focus on what you feel is more relevant to you, and then start experimenting on those models. I mean, those experiments can now still take a lot of time. I mean, it's not that I've got 40 blog posts and suddenly I'm going to be bombarded with leads. I still have to filter out that this is going to be an incremental journey and not an explosive journey. But your time to get to the market on experimentation is now significantly faster. You can experiment 10 things at one point in time, which otherwise would have taken you 6 months to get to. At least for me, it has become diplomatically correct all the time. Like if I want an answer in yes, it will always tell me yes.
Yes.
That's my bigger problem with ChatGPT right now. But I think there are other LLMs out there as well. Like Claude is working out for me, at least for now. It may or may not work out for me in next few weeks also. But I think the technology is evolving significantly faster. Asking the right questions, giving it the right context is also a big piece that is unsolved right now. I think if you like bluntly ask them a question, it can give you a diplomatically correct answer. If you input a lot of data, there's a higher chance that the answer that will come to you is going to be significantly better. It's definitely not myth. I mean, a lot of companies are building, I mean, the product works. Like Mixpanel is an example that the product is a bigger winner than actually growth. I mean, product just goes super viral. And I think we have seen, I'm not sure if you're back in 2011, 12 kind of timelines with an iPhone, WhatsApp was actually selling for $1 because the growth was so exponential that they couldn't afford the user growth at all. They're like, our servers are way too much overloaded right now, and that was only happening because the product was working out. It was not that they were exponentially advertising or something like that. The product was so easy to use, so easy to communicate with other people, that the product went significantly viral, right? Now, whether the product-led growth can happen or not, I mean, you basically add steroids on the whole product which is already working out, is essentially product-led growth. People are loving it, you're just adding the growth section to it, and then the product goes viral. We've seen Uber happening in India as well, or let's say Ola, and a lot more other products like that, right? Like Namya Yatri and multiple of those sort of things, where the product is really good and growth is happening because the product is definitely good. So it's not a myth, it's a very practical reality. We have hundreds of products like that I mean, even let's say Beehive for that matter, right? I mean, if the office is like Google, this is the product, right? I mean, people want to brag about it. You're just adding a layer of advertising over here. But otherwise, the product itself is significantly good. So it's not a myth. You have to make a product that goes viral and then you just add growth to it. I'll reach out to maybe 100 or 1,000 people over the period of next 7 days and then convince everybody that, hey, this is the right product that you need. I'll do one-on-one reach more aggressively. Yeah. I mean, interesting question. I mean, so different pieces works out for different companies generally, but I would just generally say that instead of the whole traditional way of creating content, just completely go AI. Also create a very focused content for your ICPs rather than going very too broad or horizontal is what I'll end up. Let's say multiple ICP groups, multiple people within that group, right? I mean, you'll start seeing that if the product is worth it, right, they'll suggest it to somebody else and that guy will end up reaching out to you or signing up on your website, right? I mean, if that loop is getting completed, that you're able to see the second order impact, you already have a tracker in place that the product is working out. If you reach a larger scale, you can actually do a lot of surveys with your existing members or let's say customers or users who have signed up and then ask them where are they getting the referrals from. Like, are they getting it from the ads that you're running or are they getting it from the users that have recommended them the product? I have, at least in my experience, seen a lot of referral working out at scale, especially when we do surveys or ask people that where are they getting the reference from. Sometimes it also gives you a double layer impression where I suggested you a product, you didn't bought at that point in time, but when you had a need, you searched for that on Google or let's say some other place and there you saw the company again, but in your head you were very clear, I'm seeing this product, I've already got a reference from somebody else, so that is why I'm signing up for this. Your data will start telling you that very clearly. Maybe you can start creating the notes in your CRM itself that, hey, this user came from here, this user came from here, that whenever they have a need they actually end up converting, or let's say the chances of conversion becomes higher, right?
Higher.
It's a higher. Fair. I mean, I'll tell you how people were pitching me and when did they got converted, right? So people come up with one proposition that, hey, this is a product that I have. And then over the period of time, there are 2-3 ways that they keep doing. They either host a lot of events where we become part of those events. I mean, still slightly more expensive, but then people end up doing those kind of events or meters or mixers just to ensure that the customer is in loop and constantly being communicated to. There's a recent focused community that Cashfree I can give as an example, is that they've created a very focused community of just product managers in the fintech ecosystem. And they keep pushing content in terms of what is happening with regards to the whole fintech space altogether. Right now, we talk about very random stuff that they don't do. So for example, let's say VKYC, right? How are fintechs actually chasing VKYC? VKYC is a significantly harder problem, and then they start throwing in questions in the group where people start communicating very regularly now. And then sometimes obviously people don't respond to those questions, but then at least we are reading it all the time that, hey, there's a chatter happening about this particular space. How are large companies, how are small startups actually taking care of it? Now, let's say Cashfree is on my head every single day because I keep seeing a lot of communication happening in those spaces as well, right? There are a lot of community, there are a lot of these companies who are also doing a lot of focused articles in terms of how are they solving some problem for a larger companies, and then start throwing those pieces on everybody who's on their mailer list. There's no one size fits all in terms of communication, because if you communicate with B2B customers very frequently, they'll actually mark you at spam and then just ignore you, right? Now, what is relevant to me that I'm interested in reading every week, maybe if somebody can summarize, hey, everything that has happened in the fintech ecosystem in last 1 week with regards to, let's say, regulatory challenges or let's say problems that the larger community is seeing, I might be interested in that. You have to start picking up niche in those particular pieces and then maybe start tackling up with regards to that. If let's say I'm a small startup, to make my pipeline even smaller, I will actually start focusing on more focused groups of customers where the decision makers are not more than one or at max two, right? Just so that it gets solved. The moment I have 10 stakeholders to solve, the process actually becomes 6 months to 2 years, right? Because you have to get actually 5 to 10 people aligned on one single idea. At Refine, we actually used to have at least 10 to 15 stakeholders giving their sign off before the product goes live. And we have seen cycles of more than 3 years, right? It works out in companies where, okay, I have a lot of runway available. I don't care whether, let's say, an EY or a KPMG actually signs up tomorrow or not, right? But let's say when you're in very early stages of your business, especially in SaaS, you need no more than 2 layers of hierarchy. One, maybe the decision maker, and second is the founder. If you go beyond that there are 5 stakeholders, the sign off may never happen at all, because you are not coming to a place where, hey, I have unlimited runway available, I can keep chasing these pipelines. Your sales team also gets impacted because of that, because they are consistently chasing customers which are not getting solved. And then you obviously don't have budgets for running large scale events, maybe running communities, and then 100 other things. Maybe focus on small ICPs which can get closed faster.
So maybe certain webinars or that might work. Like I mean, parallel interactions with those ICPs. I meant.
Panel interaction may not convert ever, right? So I'll give you an example. ET does a lot of all these events, right? Panel events, you would have seen it, right? So there's one sponsor who basically wants 10 customers on the table. They call people again and again. Now let's say if I'm already logged in with Salesforce for next 3 years, there's almost next to zero chance that I'll actually move out very quickly. Now they are consistently chasing me, spending a lot of amount on getting me on the panel and all those kind of things. It may not result. I think for early stage startup, maybe these GTMs may not really work out. They're already tied up with a large player. Moving out of them is difficult unless you're solving a pain point that nobody else is solving. The movement is very difficult.